How does your day begin? An alarm goes off. You open your eyes, and immediately a list appears in your head. Work, study, make money, pay bills, take care of family, rest, escape. The list never ends. Meanwhile, you only have one thing: 24 hours a day. No more, no less. You cannot buy more time. You cannot borrow more energy. You cannot print more strength. This is where every economic problem begins. It is called scarcity. Scarcity is not just about lacking money. It is about lacking everything: time, opportunities, information, good choices. Human desires are unlimited, but human resources are limited. You want more comfort, more freedom, more income, less pressure. Everyone does, but not everyone gets it, because resources are limited. When things are scarce, you're forced to choose, and every choice has a price. A simple example: tonight you have two options. Go to bed early and feel strong tomorrow. Scroll on your phone for 2 more hours. You choose the phone. What you lose is not money. It is tomorrow's energy. That is opportunity cost. It is what you give up when you choose one path over another. You work harder. You earn more, but you lose time with family. You study new skills. You gain future chances, but you lose free evenings. You buy expensive things. You feel successful, but you lose savings. No choice is free. We just do not see the cost immediately. The problem is, most people do not think in opportunity cost. They think in emotions. I deserve this. I am tired. I will fix it later. It is fine. These decisions do not destroy your life instantly. They do something more dangerous. They slowly drain it. People who understand economics think differently. Before spending money, they ask, what else could this money do? Before taking a job, they ask, what does this mean long term? Before giving up, they ask, what changes if I try one more year? They are not smarter. They just look further. Economics does not start with banks, or stock markets, or complex formulas. It starts with simple questions. Where is your time going? Where is your money going? Where is your energy going? And did you really choose it? Or are you just drifting? Every day, you trade a piece of your future for comfort today. The question is, do you know it? Or will you realize it when it is too late? Imagine this. Tomorrow, society disappears. No supermarkets, no stores, no internet, no electricity, no delivery. Only you, alone. How long would you survive? Can you grow food, make clothes, build a house, treat illness? Most answers are no. Not because you are weak, but because modern life is built on one dangerous rule. We depend on each other. Long ago, people did everything: hunt, farm, build, sew. Everyone knew a little. No one mastered much. Productivity was low. Life was unstable. Poverty was normal. Then one idea appeared. Do not do everything. Do one thing very well. That is specialization. One person grows rice. One makes shoes. One repairs machines. One sells products. Each person focuses on a small piece and becomes better than others. The result: productivity explodes. Wealth grows. Society becomes rich. Adam Smith told the story of a pin factory. One worker doing everything makes a few dozen a day. 10 workers dividing tasks make tens of thousands. Not because they work harder, but because the system is better. But specialization creates a new problem. You cannot live on one skill alone. A pin maker cannot eat pins. A programmer cannot eat code. A broker cannot eat contracts. So how do you survive? You trade. You sell what you are good at to buy what you lack. That is the market, not just a physical place. Any space where buyers meet sellers. And one thing measures value: money. Prices are the language of the market. They tell you what is scarce, what is abundant, what is needed, what is useless. When prices rise, society wants more. When prices fall, society wants less. You think you choose your career. In reality, the market is guiding you. But here is the uncomfortable truth. The more specialized you are, the weaker you become in other areas. The better you are at one thing, the more you depend on the system. If the system fails, you fail with it. Pandemics, crises, wars, recessions. One shock, millions lose jobs. Not because they are lazy, but because their skills no longer fit. You think you are free, but you live inside an invisible network. Banks, companies, supply chains, policies, taxes. Every decision you make passes through the system. Specialization makes society rich, but it makes individuals fragile. You trade flexibility for efficiency. And here is the key question. Are you controlling the system? Or are you just a gear inside it? Can you change direction? Or are you hoping it never breaks? Economics is not just about money. It is about your position inside the machine and where you stand in it. Every day, you buy things: food, clothes, phones, subscriptions, fuel. You think you choose freely, but most of the time, prices choose for you. Imagine this. Your favorite meal costs $5. You eat it every week. One day it costs $50. Do you still buy it? Probably not. That is demand. When prices rise, people buy less. When prices fall, people buy more. Simple, predictable, human. Now imagine you are the seller. You run a small restaurant. If customers pay more, you work longer. You hire more staff. You cook more. If customers pay less, you close early. You cut quality. You quit. That is supply. When prices rise, sellers produce more. When prices fall, sellers produce less. Supply and demand fight every day. Buyers want cheap. Sellers want expensive. Where they meet, that is the price. Not fair, not moral, just balance. This is how markets allocate scarcity. Without meetings, without voting, without leaders, just prices. But here is what textbooks rarely say. Humans are not rational machines. We do not calculate perfectly. We feel, we fear, we follow, we copy, we panic. Look at history. Toilet paper during pandemics, stocks during bubbles, crypto during hype, houses during booms. People buy, not because they need, but because others buy. Fear spreads faster than facts. Greed spreads faster than logic. Crowds create bubbles. Crowds create crashes. Marketing understands this very well. They do not sell products. They sell identity, status, belonging, hope. You do not buy shoes. You buy confidence. You do not buy cars. You buy respect. You do not buy phones. You buy acceptance. Limited edition. Only today. Last chance. Almost sold out. These are not words. They are weapons used on your brain. Behavioral economics studies this. It shows how humans break the rules. We overvalue now. We ignore later. We hate losses more than we love gains. We trust crowds more than facts. That is why people buy high and sell low. People chase trends and miss foundations. People regret after it is too late. You think the market reflects reality. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it reflects emotion. Prices are not always truth. They are sometimes illusions created by fear and desire. So the question is, when you buy, when you invest, when you follow, are you thinking or reacting? Are you using the market? Or is the market using you? Now let's step back from individual choices, from markets to entire nations. How do we measure success for millions of people at once? Economists use GDP, gross domestic product. It is the total value of all goods and services produced in a country during a year. Bread, cars, phones, haircuts, everything counts, but only final products, not the wheat, not the flour, only the bread sold. Otherwise, we double count. GDP sounds simple. Add up everything. See how rich a country is. But it hides a lot. It does not measure happiness. It does not measure free time. It does not measure clean air or healthy forests. It ignores unpaid work, like parenting or volunteering. GDP can be high, even if most people suffer. Imagine 80% of GDP created by 20% of the population. Average income looks fine, but most people struggle. The gap between rich and poor can be enormous. That is inequality. GDP also ignores the underground economy. Cash trades, black markets, small business that never reports income, millions of transactions. never touch official statistics. So GDP is useful, but incomplete. It measures production, not well-being. It shows activity, not fairness. It is a tool, not the final answer. Now, let's connect this to scarcity. If money is scarce, you cannot buy everything. Why not print more? Double the money supply. Problem solved. Because prices respond. More money chasing the same goods leads to inflation. Inflation reduces purchasing power. A loaf of bread costs more. A rent payment rises. Your savings shrink. Economists measure inflation with a consumer price index, CPI. CPI tracks a basket of goods, representative of typical spending. Food, rent, health, education. If the basket costs more than last year, that is inflation. But CPI is also imperfect. It is an average. Not everyone spends the same way. City dwellers, rural families, young, old. The impact can be very different. To manage GDP and inflation, governments and central banks intervene. Taxes fund public services. Interest rates and money supply control borrowing and spending. Too high, economy slows down. Too low, economy overheats. All of this comes back to scarcity. Resources are limited. Time, money, labor, land. Societies must decide how to allocate them. Markets, prices, GDP, inflation. They're all tools to manage scarcity. But scarcity also creates dilemmas. Education versus labor shortage. Should everyone pursue university? Even if society needs skilled tradespeople or technical workers, this is the hidden tension between individual ambition and collective needs. Economics does not solve these dilemmas. It illuminates them. It shows the trade-offs, the choices behind numbers. It helps understand why societies succeed or fail, why some countries grow rich while others struggle, and why individual choices matter within the larger system. So far, we have explored scarcity, markets, GDP, and inflation. We have seen how economies work at the level of individuals, firms, and nations. But economics is not just numbers. It is also about people. Humans are not perfectly rational. We do not always maximize our benefits. We make mistakes. We follow emotions. We are influenced by culture, peers, and marketing. A luxury bag, a new phone, a trendy gadget. We may not need it, but we want it anyway. This is where behavioral economics comes in. It studies how real people make decisions. It explains why we sometimes save and sometimes spend impulsively, why we invest or sell too early, why we overvalue status symbols. It shows that markets are driven not only by supply and demand, but by psychology. On a larger scale, human behavior shapes economies. Consumer confidence, fear, and optimism drive booms and recessions. A sudden panic can empty supermarket shelves. An optimistic outlook can spark investment and create jobs. Policies also rely on behavior. Taxes, subsidies, interest rates work because people respond to incentives. If people do not act as expected, policies may fail. Now, think about society. Scarcity exists everywhere. Education, skilled labor, natural resources. How do we allocate them fairly, while also rewarding effort and talent? This is the classic tension in economics. Individual ambition versus collective needs. For example, too many people chasing university degrees, while skilled trades are scarce. Society may suffer shortages in construction, plumbing, or healthcare. Economics teaches us to weigh these trade-offs. It is not moral judgment. It is practical analysis. Ultimately, economics is a tool, a lens to see the hidden choices behind every decision. It illuminates trade-offs. It explains why countries grow rich or remain poor, why some policies succeed, others fail, why your own decisions matter in a larger system. Education, productivity, specialization, and exchange all drive wealth creation. But human behavior, incentives, and social needs determine how that wealth is distributed. Markets, prices, GDP, and inflation are tools to manage scarcity. but they are only as effective as the people using them. So the final lesson is this: economics is not just theory, it is a way of thinking. It helps us understand the invisible forces shaping our choices, our money, our society. It teaches us to ask better questions, to see the trade-offs in every decision, to understand why scarcity shapes every aspect of life, and why human behavior is the ultimate variable. In the end, economics is about making sense of a complex world, about understanding incentives, trade-offs, and scarcity, about seeing the connection between individual choices and the society we live in, and about realizing that every decision, no matter how small, is part of a larger system. That concludes our 5-part exploration of economics. From scarcity and opportunity costs, to markets, GDP, inflation, and human behavior in society. Economics is not just money. It is the study of choice, trade-offs, and the world we all share.